وعلى أعدائهم وغاصب حقوقهم ومنكر فضائلهم ومناقبهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، قال الله الحكيم في محكم الكتابه المجيد: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والذين جاهدوا فينا لنهدينهم سبلنا وإن الله مع المحسنين. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلاة على محمد وعلى محمد. We gave you the model, which was the cosmological model of man and also of the existence, which we said that insan have three levels, where his jism, soul, and his spirit. And the creation also have three levels, which is the mulk, malakut, and jabarut. So when we talk about the spirit, which is actually the form of aql, the highest or the lowest form of spirit, we would say is aql. It's one reality. The reality that faces Allah, we call it ruh. The reality which faces us, we call it aql. Aql is pure, divine. It is not the aql or the intellect which we understand it to be, such as the material calculations that we have, but rather it is something by which, as according to the sixth Imam, by which man worship God. Al-aqlu ma ubida bihi rahman. Now, we mentioned that the aql is divided into two different levels. One is known as aql nazari, which means speculative or theoretical intellect. And the other part of the aql is called aql amali, which is the practical intellect. What is the difference between two? Now, prior to getting into that discussion, maybe you may think that, what are we really doing here? These gatherings, the purpose of these gatherings are to enhance our aql, to improve our intellectual capacity, to improve our knowledge. Knowledge, when it increases, it is the sole phenomena that expands the heart, or that expands where the knowledge is placed. If you put water in a container, for example, the container will not expand. The water will pour out. But if you put knowledge in the heart of a human being, the heart also expands. The knowledge also keep on increasing. So these gatherings of ours, the Muharram gatherings and the Majalis gatherings that we have, it is in order to expand our capacity of our heart. It is in order that we increase our intellectual capacity. That's how the prerequisite, or that's how the preparation of zuhur will take place. Imam will come in order to give kamal, give perfection to our aql. That is the purpose of the Imam. So therefore these gatherings must have the intellectual aspect to it. The purpose of the Anbiya and Awliya is to perfect man's aql, to perfect the intellect of man. Right? It's like, for example, when you go to Hajj, if you are too overwhelmed with the Makkah itself, you will not go to Arafah. You will not come back from Arafah for tawaf. You will not go to Muzdalfa, or you will not go to Jamarat. You are too overwhelmed with Makkah itself. That means you haven't really fulfilled Hajj. You haven't really fulfilled the journey. Hajj means that you perform all of the ibadat that is there. So therefore, these majalises are very attractive, very rewarding. We are gathering here to acquire sawab, reward. Our emotions are high. But if we are stuck with these emotions and with these gatherings just as being a majlis and for lamentation, then we are not really fulfilling the purpose. The purpose of these gatherings is to improve our aql. The purpose of these gatherings is to improve our knowledge and understanding. right? So therefore, the value of a man is much more than the Kaaba itself. If a Haji realizes that, what is the value of man? Yes, he is going to Hajj, he is going to the Kaaba, but the value of insan is higher than Kaaba, because it is man who understands what Kaaba is. It is man who knows what the reality of this house is. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam mentions that Kaaba have 4 sides, and parallel to Kaaba is the Kursi. Beyond Kursi is the Arsh. They are all in one line. So you have Kaaba, the house of God, which have 4. It's a cubicle, 4 sides to it. Then above that is the Kursi. The reality of Kursi is what? The reality of Kursi is Wasiya Kursiyu samawati wal ardh. Meaning that whatsoever in the heaven and earth that has been created is Wasiya Kursiyu samawati wal ardh. It is the Kursi of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you want to understand the Kursi with the model that we have given, it is at the level where the Jabarut meets the Malakut. So that is Wasiya Kursiyu samawati wal ardh. And beyond that is the Arsh ar-Rahman. It is the Arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you have the Kaaba, above that is the Kursi, above that is the Arsh. Now all have these 4 corners to it. That's why it says on the Day of Judgment, the Arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be brought by 4 individuals. According to Hadith of the Imam, it says that these 4 are Hasanain and Amirul Mu'mineen and the Prophet. These are the 4 who will bring the Arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's 4 sides. The Arsh have that. Then Kursi have those same thing. Now Kursi also have these 4 sides, which is Wasiya Kursi. The Kaaba also have these 4 sides. The symbolism of this is that the Subhanallah walhamdulillah wa la ilaha illallah, which is 4. So Subhanallah walhamdulillah wa la ilaha illallah wallahu akbar. So this could be comprehended by who? Not by the wall of the Kaaba, but by the aql insan. But with your intellect, with your aql, with your heart, you can understand this. So therefore, the value of man becomes much more than the 4 walls of Kaaba. The value of you all is much better than the time and space. The time as in 5th of Muharram, the space as the SABA itself. Your value, it is you who are making this SABA as SABA. So therefore, it is very important to have discussions, lectures that will increase our capacity to ta'aqqul, increase our capacity to intellectualize things, to understand things. Storytellings, historical events that happen, yes, we will cover that, but even those things we have to focus it on a higher level. As Agha Jawadi would say that our mothers used to tell us stories to sleep. However, the stories in the Quran is not to put us to sleep, but to wake us up. The purpose of the stories of the Quran is not to put us to sleep. So these majalises are there not to put us to sleep, that we enjoy the majlis and that we are entertained with it, but rather we should wake up from these majalises. So it is very important to focus on the aql and the intellect. So we said it has 2 aspects to it. There is the aql, which is known as the aql nazari, or speculative knowledge or speculative intellect, and the aql, which is aql amali. However, it's one reality. Both of them is one reality, but it is divided into 2. Now, what is speculative knowledge, or what is aql nazari, or the intellectual, or the intellect that is known as nazari, or theoretical, if you want to call? The aql nazari is by which man understand concepts which are immaterial, and it is difficult for him to really practice as such. There are difference of opinion among the hukama, among the philosophers, when they are defining the aql nazari and the aql amali. However, we'll try to really compare them and try to understand the best of it, inshallah. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. When we talk about speculative intellect, it means that the intellect which is able to comprehend the awsaf of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which have no practical aspect to it as such. Allah is Rahman. It is the speculative intellect. It is the intellect which is the aql nazari, which is able to understand what Rahman means, what Rahim means. So it do not have any practical aspect to it. But the aql amali, for example, is by which a person could practically implement that. For example, good. For example, generosity. The nazari, the intellect will understand to a level where the speculative intellect is able to understand what that is, and then practically act in a generous way. That is the aql amali. So you have the aql nazari, by which he understands, and some of these concepts that he is understanding may not be practically implemented, and some of those concepts which he understands may be practically implemented. So you have two schools. One is a school which says that those concepts which cannot be practically implemented, that is the speculative intellect, period, that's it. Such as the awsaf ilahi, such as the qualities of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which we do not really see them to be practically implemented as such. It is only intellect that understands, that comprehends, and it increases in terms of its capacity. It just expands more and more. It increases ma'rifat. Right. Then you have the aql amali. This school says that no, it is those things which a person could intellectually, act on it. He could, for example, he have the understanding of what generosity is, and then he could really practically act as a generous person. That is called the aql amali. That is called the aql amali, where a person is acting. Practically, he could really perform those things. Right? So that's aql. Now, the other name that we may find as a synonym to this is called hikmat. Wisdom. Wisdom have the practical aspect to it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about a person like Luqman, who was Hakim. He was knowledgeable, but at the same time, when it comes to the practice, he used to practice that. Right? So he was Hakim. He was a wise person. As Quran talks about that, Allah does khair to a person by giving him hikmat. If Allah wants good, Allah desires good for a person, He will provide him with hikmat, with wisdom. Wisdom is something that is very unique and special. Wisdom is something that is given. Yes, we try to increase our knowledge. A knowledgeable person, we could have a knowledgeable person, but this knowledgeable person can be not a wise person. Right? So hikmat, wisdom, is something that God gives. So when a person have that, that understanding how to act and in which way to act, that person becomes a wise person. That person is known as we could have speculative knowledge, or aql, our intellect is able to comprehend a lot of things in terms of, principles. But when it comes to practically implementing these principles, we have to be very careful about it. We have to be wise, so to speak. We may not be able to fully implement that. For example, generosity is very good. Giving away in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very good. As we know that the Ahl Bayt alayhi salam, when the poor man comes, they give away. When the orphan comes, they were fasting, they did not eat anything, they give. When a prisoner of war comes, they were fasting, they did not eat, they give away everything. But for us, we say that, okay, this is very good. You have to do tawakkul. Tawakkul means trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So our aql comprehends what trust is, what tawakkul is, right? That's aql nazari. That is speculative knowledge. Our aql comprehends what tawakkul is. Now this tawakkul needs to be implemented. Now, when I'm implementing this tawakkul, Am I using my aql amali, the practical intellect is there or not? Then what do I mean by that? Is that, okay, I have $10 and now a poor person comes and my aql says tawakkul is very good, my speculative knowledge. My aql says generosity is very good. Then I say, okay, I have this $10, I just give away. Now after a few hours, I'm really hungry. So did I act according to the practical intellect or I did not? I did not. Right. Yes, there is tawakkul there, but is my nafs, is my soul, is my heart, is ready to really face that? Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So when it comes to the practical intellect, I had that understanding in terms of my knowledge that is good. But I did not really acted through my practical intellect. I just gave away everything and now I'm suffering and complaining and saying, oh Allah, I did tawakkul and you are not taking care of me. And eventually it may reach to a point that I may lose iman. Right? Because I wasn't ready for it. I know it is good, but I should be practically, from a wise point of view, calculate whether if I give, I will face trouble or not. Am I ready or not? That's why they say that there are certain du'as that we are not supposed to recite. For example, dua SABA. No, not this SABA, dua SABA. Right? The dua that is of Amirul Mu'mineen, which is in which we say that, oh Allah, I am ready. And test me the way you want to test me. If we say that over and over again, if Allah takes the test and we are not ready, then what? It is for those hearts, it is for those souls who is able to bear that test. The Hazrat Hajra Salamullah Alayha sees the wound of Hazrat Ismail. She was affected badly, and eventually with the sort of sorrow and sadness, she eventually dies. But at the same time, you have mothers in the plain of Karbala, where the head of Wahab is thrown towards the mother, the mother of Wahab throws it back. What is given in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's not taken back. Right? So you have, people who have that capacity to really face that. But some people, they do not have that capacity. So that's why we have to be very careful. We have to have a very fine understanding of these realities, of these phenomena that is out there, which is known as aql nazari, speculative knowledge. That's very good. We need to increase that. But at the same time, practical aql, speculative aql and practical aql must be implemented according to our heart and our capacity there or not. That is also needed. The aql, which is practical aql, is also very much required and needed. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Now this journey of ours, of our soul, of our nafs, of our heart, is towards that aql, which we said mulk and malakut and jabarut. And we said jism, body of insan, soul of insan, and the aql of insan. So like last night we were talking about this journey, as we said that وَمَنْ يَخْرُجْ مِنْ بَيْتِهِ مُهَاجِرًا إِلَى اللَّهِ, right? وَرَسُولِهِ ثُمَّ يُدْرِكُهُ الْمَوْتِ فَقَدْ وَقَعَ أَجْرَهُ عَلَى اللَّهِ, right? We talked about that verse, a person who does muhajirat. Now tonight with this understanding of intellect, we'll look at another verse which is in Surah Ankabut, which talks about وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا. It talks about jihad. It talks about striving, which means that nothing is possible without, striving, without difficulty. Spoon feeding, is not possible. Insan is created in such a fashion that he has to struggle right from the very beginning, or even before beginning, if you want to talk about that. There is a lot of struggle, and then eventually it reaches to a point that he is born, and even after that. So like as I said earlier, as I mentioned earlier, when the zahir qaziyeh, when the outward reality is that where we find there is struggle for a person to really grow from age 0 to 20 or 40, whatever, he's constantly struggle. On the same token, on the same fashion, when it comes to our spiritual life, when it comes to our soul, there is struggle as well. And as you all are aware of that narration of the Prophet when they came back from the battle, and the Prophet said, welcome back from a minor jihad to a greater jihad, which is the jihad, which is the battle, which is the struggle of our soul. Insan have to fight three things. One, he has to fight his soul. One, he has to fight shaitan. And one, he has to fight the dunya. This is what he is faced with. Shaitan is continuously there in order to deviate us. That's why we said that aduwwun mubin. Shaitan is always there. And then he uses different means and ways to really do waswas. Fi sudurin nas. Especially now this waswas sometimes is whispers, but sometimes it is the bell of a WhatsApp, for example, or the vibration of a message that comes to us, right? It's kind of like a waswas. That's how things, tend to reflect, the technology that we have. It is pseudo spirituality actually. The technology that they are using, and that the technology that they have based on manaviyat, they are based on spirituality. As they say that, when Imam will come, people will be able to see each other when they will speak to each other, for example. Or the voice will reach everywhere, the voice of the Imam or the awliya, for example, right? So therefore, all of these concepts that we find is based on the psychology of man, is based on the spiritual reality that it is existing. Based on that, they, for example, create this technology, and that is why we are pulled towards it. What is the greatest or the most important aspect of man's life? What is he known as? He is known as haywan natiq. Means nutq, means he is the one who speaks. Nutq is speaking, right? That is why we find that you have so many telephone companies which sell you the ways to speak. Phone is the gadget by which you speak. You need that. It's in our fitra. It is in our nature. So that's why that we find that we are flooded with different, the technology that we have, and we are really attached to it. Is one of the things that we are most attached to is to our phone, by which we communicate. Insan means that he is a social animal. He communicates, and that's why we kind of overlook, or we are carried away, or we are trapped by the shaitani aspect of it. When we are trapped by the shaitani aspect of it, we will not look the profit or the benefit that it will have in there, because our nafs is only attracted towards the material aspect of it, towards the nafsani, towards the desires only. It will not be able to really connect that to the intellectual or to the higher reality. But if we step out a bit and look at it, what's going on, then probably we will be able to really control ourselves to a certain extent. We will be able to really utilize it the way we are supposed to utilize it, right? So that's what we have to be very careful about. So you have that jihad in nafs is that, from that very gadget that we have in my hand, to the aspect where, to the place where I'm standing in prayers. They ask Allama Tabatabai that I would like to focus in my prayers. What am I supposed to do? Allama says that speak less. If one wants to concentrate in his prayer, he says speak less. Now, mashallah, we have different ways of speaking, which will make our focus in prayer more or less, right? And at the same time, the other aspect of insan is that, he is extremist. If that balance, if that mizan is not there, he will become extremist. We complain about extremism in deen, but we don't complain about civil extremism or social extremism. We are all extremists. How we are? Just check your own phone. How many social apps you have? WhatsApp you have, Twitter you have, Instagram you have. You want to use Instagram for chatting as well. You want to use WhatsApp for chatting as well. You want to use Telegram for chatting as well. You want to use Twitter for chatting as well. This is extremism. You all are extremists. I am extremist too. But the West only talks about the extremism of deen, because deen does not benefit them. This extremism really benefit them. A cup of tea, a cup of coffee in this 5-star or 7-star hotel in New York is equivalent to 1 year ration in Bangladesh. This is extremism. We are extremists. Our society have become an extremist society. The reason why the ISIS could recruit our youth is because our nafs have become extremists. We are attracted towards an extremism naturally, because every day we are practicing extremism. So when we are practicing everyday extremism, that's how these people could recruit these souls which are already blind and immune to extremism. They will not say that this is extremism. What are you talking about? Deen does not allow you to kill people like that. But for example, if that young lad his soul has already changed, right? Whether you call this extremism or that extremism as a phenomena is extremism, right? So the point is that that's the aql. The aql will come and discern that. The aql will come and really and strike parallels and parables and examples and try to understand that this is what is going on here, that we need to be careful. What is of value is wujud, is the existence, not the quiddity or not the outward aspect or the zahiri aspect of it. The essence is of value, right? That's the aql will make that decision. For example, if an existence of if something is coming from the far, we would say that, okay, it's a motorbike, it's a horse, and when it reaches to near you, you'll say, oh, it was actually my own cousin or brother or whatever. But from the far, it was something else. What was changing was the forms. What was not changing is the wujud, is the existence was not changing. So if the aql decide that all of these zahir hayatud dunya that is there, which is always changing, he will not really pay attention to this, but he will rather pay attention to those principles. He will pay attention to that wujud, that existence that sits within these zahir of the hayat of the dunya. You see? So that's what is required of us, is to really reflect and ponder and contemplate on the reality that is existing. Help me with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Now this comes where concentrating in prayers, from the point of view where a person is standing in prayer. For example, I just mentioned one hadith of the sixth Imam. The sides of the Kaaba. Subhanallahi, walhamdulillahi, wa la ilaha illallah, wallahu akbar. That's Kaaba. But I am reciting Subhanallahi, walhamdulillahi, wa la ilaha illallah, wallahu akbar in prayer. But my mind is somewhere else. Can I do tawajjuh? Can I focus upon this hadith of Imam Sadiq while I am reciting, so that my mind is not somewhere else, but my mind, but my intellect is focusing towards where it's supposed to be focusing, which is the Qibla, which is the Kaaba. But my mind is somewhere else. But if I increase the knowledge, if I try to understand these concepts and the symbolism that exist in the reality, then through this symbolism I will go to a higher level. I will go to the level, that chart of Jabarut that we were talking about, to that level, right? For example, as they say that, in terms of the music, as one of the things that we are faced with is music. Now, sometimes say that, it's music, which is qawali, which is the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it is marsiya or poetry of Ahl Bayt alayhimus salam. But at the same time, you have certain elements of the, music within it, which may which may deviate the soul, which may attack the soul, which may lower our understanding of higher realities through that music, that will have an effect on us, right? Now, although it could be the names of Allah, although it could be a Sufi Khawali that a person is talking about, but there's a difference when a person who understands these concepts of the Asma Ilahi that the person is chanting in that Qawwali, to a person who is doing it for the entertainment's sake, for the sake of money or ego or whatever that may be, entertainment, right? So there is a difference in that. This reminds me of a story of Sheikh Abul Qasim Qummi. Sheikh Abul Qasim Qummi was contemporary to Sheikh Abdul Karim Hairi. Sheikh Abdul Karim Hairi was the one who established or who founded the Hawza Ilmiya of Qom. Sheikh Abdul Karim Hairi was Ustad of Imam Khomeini as well. He is buried, Sheikh Abdul Karim Hairi also buried, his grave is in Qom, Bala Sare Hazrat Masume, in that masjid on top of the head of Hazrat Masume. There's a big masjid there. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. And also you have Ayatollah Gulpaigani there, all of the Maraji are buried there, Bahjat is also buried there. And there's a grave of Sheikh Abul Qasim Qummi, which is right below the step from the chamber or from the grave chamber of Ayatollah Burjardi. Ayatollah Burjardi, his grave is by itself, And then if you come out from the grave of Ayatollah Burjardi, if you take that step on the right hand side, there's a plaque which have the name Sheikh Abul Qasim Qummi. He was contemporary to Sheikh Abdul Karim Hairi, who was the founder of the Hawza. Sheikh Abul Qasim Qummi was also Ustad of Imam Khomeini. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Aghai Arabi Marhum, may Allah bless his soul, was the son-in-law of Imam Khomeini. And I heard this directly from him. We used to go visit him once every week, and we used to read Hafiz and Rumi. He wasn't a Maulana, he wasn't a Ruhani, but he was a carpet seller. He was a businessman, but he was very, very spiritual, a true insan. As they say, insan. Imam Khomeini, you have that saying, Mulla Shudan Asan. They used to say that, Mulla Shudan Asan, Insan Shudan Mushkil. To become a mullah, to become a maulana, is asan, it's easy. But to become an insan, it is difficult. This was mentioned by the Ustad of Al-Ustad of Imam Khomeini. And Imam Khomeini says that mullah shudan asan, it is not difficult to become a mullah. But insan shudan mahal. To become an insan, it is mahal, it is not possible. So the dunya, the world that we are living in, to really become an insan. But Aghai Arabi was a true insan, waqan. So he mentioned it because his father, Aghai Arabi, Ayatollah Arabi, was also a Maulana, and he was basically on the level of Aghai Abul Qasim Qummi and all that. So Aghai Abul Qasim Qummi says, Imam Khomeini says that I used to forget my lessons. I used to sit in a lesson and I used to go on my iPhone. Well, there was no phones at that time, So I used to forget. I used to lose concentration. I couldn't concentrate in class, and I used to forget. So I went and complained to my teacher, to my Ustad, Abul Qasim Qummi, and he recited in my ear, Sanuqiruka fala tansa, which is in Surah Ala, which means that, Allah says to the Prophet, I recite and you don't forget. Allah is mentioning to the Prophet when it comes to Wahi, when it comes to Quran. It's really amazing that one man bringing that whole Quran, such an amazing text, right? So here Abul Qasim Qummi recited this in the ear of Imam Khomeini. And Imam Khomeini says that since that day up until now, I haven't forgotten anything. Whatever I used to listen, it used to go directly into my brain, into my mind, into my aql. I will never forget. So it goes back to that wujud of a person. It goes back to that nafas. Nafas means that, that breath of a person. If that breath falls on someone, that true breath, that mukhlis, pure, that intellectual, breath falls on a person, it changes the life of a person, right? It changes the destiny of a person. And that's what we see in the plain of Karbala. Many people, came to stop Imam Hussein, but they joined Imam Hussein, and they were with Imam Hussein, right? Hur is one of that because of that wujud, because of that nafas of Imam Hussein alayhi salam that fell on Hur. But there was something about Hur too, that breath needs to be there, that guidance needs to be there, but at the same time, from my side, it should be وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا. I should be someone who should be constantly struggling and trying. You all being here is one of that aspect. It was possible for you not to join or not to come. But the respect that you have for Imam Hussein, the love that you have for Imam Hussein, right? You said, okay, these 10 days, no matter what, I'm going to go sit in the majlis, listen to the speaker, whatever, the speaker doesn't make sense anyways, but still I will go sit there for Imam Hussein, and inshallah I'll get the reward. And Allah, this is jihad, jihadu fina, this is a struggle, working till 6:30, 7, coming here at 8, this is, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards. And the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards is by opening our heart towards Him, is by unveiling Himself. As they say that, Allah is hidden behind 70,000 veils. When a person becomes mahram, when a person becomes, lover of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he start lifting one veil after the other. So basically, when you are doing that jihad and that struggle, that's in order for the love of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, because love of Imam Hussein is indeed, love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-izzatu lillah wa li rasulihi wa lil mu'minin. If a person give izzah, respect to a mu'min, that is actually giving respect to Allah. Because al-izzatu lillah wa li rasulihi wa lil mu'minin. The honor belongs to Allah, to Rasul, and to mu'minin. So when I am respecting a mu'min, this honor is actually returning back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala via Rasul. So the love of Hussein is actually indeed the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا. So it says that certainly those who strive for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, surely Allah will guide them. اتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَيُعَلِّمُكُمُ اللَّهُ. That's what the Quran says. Be God very, be God conscious, right? وَيُعَلِّمُكُمُ اللَّهُ. Allah will be the teacher. Ilm is not to ta'allum, meaning that through sitting and learning. Yes, that is there as well. But the true knowledge, al-ilmu nurun, is His light that Allah places in the heart. يَغْزِفُ فِي قَلْبِ مَنْ يَشَاءُ. Allah places this light in the heart of whosoever Allah decides, Allah desires. Right? So therefore, from our side, that jihad, that strive, that struggle should be there. لِنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ. And if you look at here, jahadu is a fi'l muzaire, which means it's the past tense. But لِنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ, it is a future tense and a perpetual future tense. It's constant. Allah will constantly guide a person who does jihad. So if I have strived, then Allah will be guiding. And as a matter of fact, hidayat, hadi, hidayat comes from where? It comes from hadi. What is hidayat? Hidayat is in the malakut. Hadi is in the jabarut. So when that hadi, when that name of hadi descends in the realm of malakut, it becomes hidayat, which is the Quran. And then when it comes to this world, that is me who's been guided, right? In the mulk, right? So therefore, hadi means that why it is plural, why it is in the future tense. Every word in the Quran have a value and have a meaning. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have placed it, with His hikmat, with His wisdom. He knows what He's doing, right? So He's saying, because hadi is eternal. Allah is always a guide. It's not like Allah, was, guided Muslims and sent the Quran when the Prophet was there. No, Quran is an eternal book. Exactly the same as it was. It came to the Prophet at that time. If you pick up the Quran, it's exactly the same Quran. There's no difference in that. It's continuously guiding. لِنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will show ways. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will guide. وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهِ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. A person who is God very God conscious, He will open an exit for him. He will give him show a path when he's stuck, when he's in the cul-de-sac, when he's in the sort of like dead end he has reached. Allah will open a path. One will not imagine where it will come from, right? That's why this ayah, Surah Talaq, وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهِ, should be recited after every prayer. This was one of the prescription given by the Nuqdaqiya Isfahani to Imam Khomeini. So here, and then it says that إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَمَعَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ, and certainly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with the muhsineen. The fifth Imam says that this verse is actually talking about Ahl Bayt alayhimus salam, and there are certain names or certain concepts in the Quran which are particularly to the Ahl Bayt. When it is talking about muhsineen, Amirul Mu'mineen says that it is talking about Hazrat Amir. Wherever you see in the Quran it's muhsineen, the muhsineen are Ahl Bayt alayhimus salam. The muhsin is Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So this struggle of ours in order to reach that aql, in order to reach that kamalat, perfection, requires a lot of patience, a lot of sabr. It's not easy, it's difficult. That's why it says that the Rasul Iman, the head, the fountainhead of Iman is really patience and sabr. It requires a lot of sabr, and the story of Karbala is full of that, as we see. As tonight we're going to talk about sabr of a mother who did not come out of the tent when the bodies were brought. Look at the sabr. But she came running when the body of Ali Akbar was brought. Right? She did not come out. She says that if I come out, maybe my brother will feel that it was him. Because of him, and Muhammad died. Hazrat Abdullah was the father and the son of Ja'far-e-Tayyar. Ja'far-e-Tayyar was a great, companion of the Prophet, and cousin of the Prophet. And he was the one who was sent to Habash, to Ethiopia, to Abyssinia. And Hazrat Abdullah was born in Abyssinia. The husband of Hazrat Zainab was born in Abyssinia, and he himself was a great supporter of the Prophet, Hazrat Abdullah. And he was supporter of Amirul Mu'mineen. He fought alongside with Amirul Mu'mineen in the Battle of Siffin. He was with Imam Hassan alayhi salam, supported Imam Hassan alayhi salam. However, he did not join Imam Hussein in Karbala, because many people have a question that how come the husband of Hazrat Zainab, Hazrat Abdullah, was not present in Karbala. He did not join. Imam Hussein went from Medina with Hazrat Zainab and all family members, but Hazrat Abdullah did not join. Why? It's a question. But when you look at the history, you find Hazrat Abdullah, who was the son of Ja'far-e-Tayyar, he was a great supporter of Amirul Mu'mineen, of Ahl Bayt alayhimus salam, and to the extent that he sent his two sons with Imam Hussein alayhi salam to be sacrificed. They say, some of the reports are there that they say that he was very old, and jihad, fighting in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sakit, is not for those who are older people. However, we find Muslim ibn Awsaja, who was much older than Hazrat Abdullah. See, Imam Hussein alayhi salam have given certain responsibilities to certain people. He has left Hazrat Abdullah in Medina to take care of other Ahl Bayt who are there. The message that we have today from Hazrat Abdullah, the protection of certain riwayat and hadith and narrations and the letters that were exchanged, or Muhammad ibn Hanafiya also, who remained in Medina, who protected the very wasiya, the will of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. He wrote a wasiya, Imam Hussein, before leaving, the narrator of this wasiya and the protector of this wasiya was Muhammad ibn Hanafiya, who did not join Imam Hussein alayhi salam in Karbala. So Hazrat Abdullah did not join for a purpose. He has a responsibility to fulfill towards Imam Hussain, towards the mission of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. So when Imam Hussain was in Mecca, he realized that if he gonna go towards Kufa, he will be killed. So he sent a letter with On and Muhammad, the two sons of Hazrat Abdullah, sons of Hazrat Zainab. Some say that one of the son was of Hazrat Zainab, the other son was of Hazrat Abdullah's previous marriage or other marriage. However, Sheikh Mufid says that no, these two sons belong to Hazrat Zainab. These two sons belong to Hazrat Zainab. It wasn't from the previous marriage or other wife of Hazrat Abdullah. Both were Hazrat Zainab's children and they were sons of Hazrat Abdullah. So Hazrat Abdullah sends a letter through On and Muhammad to Makkah, saying that, please do not go towards Kufa, come back to Medina. I will get a peace letter, I will protect your life, a letter of protection of your life from, Umar Saad, who is who is in Medina. So while the sons came to Makkah, Hazrat Abdullah got a letter from Umar Saad, and then he came to Makkah, and then he brought the letter of protection from Umar Saad. But Imam Hussain said, no, I have seen the dream, I saw Rasulullah, and my path is towards Kufa. I'm going towards Kufa. And then here Hazrat Abdullah says that you take my children and you be with them. He kind of parted farewell from On and Muhammad, and it wasn't easy. These two young ones were not even baligh. They haven't reached the age of baligh. And then they came to Makkah, they came to Karbala. And in Karbala, they say that On and Muhammad were always presenting themselves in front of the uncle. When the battle had started, they were presenting themselves that when is their turn to go and fight. On the 9th night, as they report that in every tent, the mothers were preparing their children, that tomorrow is the day to show your, courage. Tomorrow is the day of sacrifice. To protect Imam Hussain alayhi salam, you have to sacrifice your life. You have to show that how you have to make us proud. So On and Muhammad, you are the grandchildren of Ja'far-e-Tayyar. Ja'far-e-Tayyar was known as a great fighter. Ja'far-e-Tayyar, who lost, his hands were severed before he was killed, just like Abul Fazl. And that's why he is known as Tayyar. That means it's someone who flies. And Allah gave him, and the Prophet says Allah gave him wings in paradise to fly. He's been given the wings in paradise to fly. That's Ja'far-e-Tayyar. So Hazrat Zainab says, you are, in your vein, you have the blood of Ali and Ja'far-e-Tayyar. You have to show that how strong you are tomorrow, on the day of Ashura. But on the day, they were not given permission to go. They were presenting themselves, it wasn't happening. And then they came to the mother. They came to Hazrat Zainab salamullah alayha. When they came to Hazrat Zainab, to the mother, they said, Mother, the uncle is not listening to us. And you do something. You intercede for us. And here it says that Zainab came with On and Muhammad to the tent of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. As you know, it is the day of battle. And Imam Hussain is extremely busy and planning and sending one shaheed after the other. And all of a sudden he sees Zainab on the tent. And then as soon as he sees Zainab, Imam Hussain stood there. And he asked his companion to leave. And Zainab enters with On and Muhammad. And here Zainab says that, oh my brother, for the sake of our mother, for the sake of Zahra, how will I face Zahra on the day of judgment? How will I face my mother on the day of judgment? I am seeing that one after the other the companions are going and slay and being killed to protect your life. And I want you to send On and Muhammad. And here Imam Hussain alayhi salam couldn't do anything. In this middle of the war, in this heat, Hazrat Zainab and Imam Hussain, they hugged each other. And Imam Hussain, he himself brought the horse and prepared these two young lads. As the Ravi, as the journalists report that when these two youngs were walking, the sword was touching the ground. You can imagine how tall they were. They were not even baligh, which means they were not even 14, right? And here Imam Hussein prepares them, brings the ride for them, both of them, and they come into the battlefield. And when they come into the battlefield, they recited Raja. It was the norm to recite poetry. They recited poetry in which they mentioned that we are the grandchildren of Ja'far. Ja'far al-Thayyar, for whom God have given wings in paradise to fly. In our blood, there's a blood of Ali and there's a blood of Ja'far. And then they fought. What a furious battle they were fighting. They were killing one after the other. And they were staying together. And here Umar Saad realized that it is not going to be easy to really defeat them. The best way is to separate them. And Umar Saad planned them in a tricky, with a trick to separate them from each other. They were separated from each other. And then they were attacked from all sides, with spears, with arrows, with swords. These two young ones, with the thirst of 3 days, with thirst and hunger of 3 days, still they keep on fighting. And that hour comes that they got tired and they were attacked. And then On and Muhammad, they fall down from the steed. As soon as they fall down from the steed and call, "Oh uncle, come for our aid." And then Zainab saw Hussein running towards the tent. When they fall down from the steed, Zainab fell in sajda. She fell in the sajda to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that hour have come, that I will be proud in front of my mother. I will be proud in front of my father. The hour of sacrifice. And here, when Imam Hussein alayhi salam reached to the bodies of On and Muhammad, Abul Fazl Abbas was there as well. Hazrat Ali Akbar was there as well. And they pick up the body of On and Muhammad. And only few breaths were left. And they were speaking to the uncle. And they were saying that, "Oh uncle, give our salams to our mother." And tell them we never intended to go towards Furat. Because our mother have mentioned that never go towards the river. Never go towards the river. So we never intended. We never went towards the river. We went in the other direction. And then they fought. That's why when you people, when they go, inshallah, Allah give us tawfiq to go ziyarah, they say the graves of On and Muhammad is very far from the ground, from the battlefield of Karbala, because they went fighting. And then here they say that when Imam Hussein was speaking to On and Muhammad, that hour comes that the soul leaves the body of On and Muhammad, and Abul Fazl and Imam Hussein alayhi salam brought the bodies of these two young ones near the tents, and one after the other ladies were coming and crying and lamenting. But Zainab is not seen. Why Zainab is not coming? Because Zainab says that if I go and cry, maybe my brother, his heart will be in pain, and his heart will say that, he will lose the strength which is required of him. However, when Hazrat Ali Akbar died, Zainab came out to protect Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And then it happened so that on the day after they were martyred, after the heads were severed, eventually the time occurs where Zainab was trying to fetch the kids when they burned the tents. And in the dark, that was the first time Zainab saw the bodies of On and Muhammad. Because Zainab was looking for children. They thought maybe these two little ones have slept on the ground. And then she touches these two bodies and realizes that this is the bodies of On and Muhammad. But still she did not cry there because she was looking for Ruqayya. Because Ruqayya, she has lost Ruqayya there. When Zainab cried when she came back. She came back to Medina. When she comes to Medina, she goes to the grave of the Prophet and she recites the mercy of Hussein. She recites the mercy of Abul Fazl. She recites the mercy of Ali Akbar. But she did not recite the mercy of On and Muhammad. And when she comes back home, she opens the door. And when she enters her home and she sees the garden and the courtyard, she throws herself on the ground. And she's my own, and Muhammad, this is the tree, under this tree they used to play. These are the rooms and the chambers of On and Muhammad. This is the well where they used to fetch the water. Allah la'natullah ala qawm az-zalimin. Sayalamu alladhina zalamu ayyi munqalibin yanqalibun. Matam ya Hussein, ya Hussein, ya Hussein, ya Hussein, ya Hussein.
Ya Hussein. I'm Zainab. All my life I lived in pain. I'm Zainab. I died when I lost Hussein. I'm Zainab. All my life I lived in pain. I'm Zainab. I died when I lost Hussein. I am the mother of sorrows. Wherever I go, woe follows. I am the mother of sorrows. Wherever I go, woe follows. I'm Zainab. All together. All my life I lived in pain. I'm Zainab. I died when I lost hope. All together. I'm Zainab. MashaAllah. All my life I lived in. I am Zainab. I died when I lost Hussein. I am the mother of sorrows. Wherever I go, I am the mother of sorrows. Wherever I go, woe follows. I'm Zainab. All my life I lived in pain. I'm Zainab. I died when I lost hope. All together. I'm Zainab. All my life I lived in pain. I'm Zainab. I died when I lost hope. My grief started when I lost mankind through mercy. After that loss, I lost Zahra and then Ali. My grief started when I lost mankind through mercy. After that loss, I lost Zahra and then Ali. The broken rib, the struck head of Ali haunts me. My grief deepens, seeing Hassan dying slowly. How can I live now without you, my dear? How can I see your head shine on a spear? How can I live now without you, my dear? How can I see your head shine on a spear? I am the mother of sorrow. Wherever I go, I'll follow. I am the mother of sorrows. Wherever I go, I'll follow. I'm Zainab. MashaAllah. All my life I lived in pain. I'm Zainab. I died when I lost. All together. I'm Zainab. All my life I lived in pain. I'm Zainab. I died when I lost Hussein. I am the mother of sorrow. I go. I am the mother of sorrows. Wherever I go, my heart was shattered on the day Hussein was killed. My heart was shattered on the day Hussein was killed. the day of 10th, when the whole world with blood was filled. Upon my mind sorrow and pain was instead. O Lord, let our small sacrifice be now fulfilled. O Shia, O Shia, O Shia, when you're thirsty say his name. O Shia, curse the one who lit the flame. O Shia, when you're thirsty say his name. O Shia, curse the one who lit the flame. I am the mother of sorrow, wherever I go I'll follow. I am the mother of sorrow, wherever I go I'll follow. I'm Zainab, all my life I lived in pain. I'm Zainab, I died when I lost the cause. And I'm Zainab, all my life I lived in pain. I'm Zainab, I died when I lost Hussein. I am the mother of sorrows, wherever I go I'll follow. I am the mother of sorrows, wherever I go I'll follow. I'm Zainab, all my life I lived in pain. I'm Zainab. Every Thursday night we remember Hussein. Every Thursday night we remember Hussein. Every Thursday night we remember Hussein. We cry for Hussein and we call Ya Hussein. We cry for Hussein and we call Ya Hussein. Every Thursday night we remember Hussein. Every Thursday night we remember Hussein. We cry for Hussein and we call Ya Hussein. We cry for Hussein and we call Ya Hussein. Our goal is to spread the message of Hussein. Our goal is to spread the message of Hussein. To live like Ali and to die like Hussein. To live like Ali and to die like Hussein. Our goal is to spread the message of Hussein. Our goal is to spread the message of Hussein. To live like Ali and to die like Hussein. To live like Ali and to die like Hussein. Every beat of my heart calls the name of Hussein. Every beat of my heart calls the name of Hussein. And written on my heart is the name of Hussein. And written on my heart is the name of Hussein. Ya Hussein, 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 Ya Hussein. How much I've been dreaming to see Karbala. How much I've been dreaming to see Karbala. My eyes are begging me to see Karbala. My eyes are begging me to see Karbala. My feet, they keep walking towards Karbala. My feet, they keep walking towards Karbala. When finally I see the dome of Hussein, when finally I see the dome of Hussein, I enter heaven and I cry, Ya Hussein. I enter heaven and I cry, Ya Hussein. Every beat of my heart calls the name of Hussein. Every beat of my heart calls the name of Hussein. And written on my heart is the name of Hussein. And written on my heart is the name of Hussein. Ya Hussein, 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 Ya Zainab, 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 Ya Zahra, 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 Ya Zahra.